Eagles Entertainment.
Eagle Eye in the Sky is fueled by Gatorade, the official sports drink of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Anything that moves, I don't care who it is. Let's go. Give me everything you got. Play fast, play hard. Let's meet these boys tonight in their house. It's party time. It's party time. Here we go. Touchdown!
You are listening to the Eagle Eye in the Sky podcast. Now here's your host, Fran Duffy.
That's right. Of the week, we've got more training camp as the Eagle Eye in the Sky podcast, fueled by Gatorade, continues. I'm Fran Duffy, and as always, I think we've got a great show for you here on episode number 343. At the top of today's show, we've got Chalk Talk, where I chat with C-Mac and Ben once again to talk through what we saw down here at the NovaCare Complex. The Eagles taking the field for another day of training camp practice. No pads today. The Eagles have off on Friday, but plenty of action, a lot of fun one-on-one reps for us to be able to go through and detail here on the show. Before we get there, though, just a quick reminder, jump on Apple Podcasts, leave us a rating, leave us a comment. Appreciate everybody that has done that lately. It's the best way to throw us your support as we get ready to get closer and closer to the 2021 NFL regular season. We've got the Hall of Fame game tonight, Cowboys and Steelers. A week from tonight, the Eagles take the field for the first time for their first preseason action against Pittsburgh. So can't wait. We're getting closer and closer. So if you love this show, if you listen every single week, make sure you go throw us your support over on Apple Podcasts. And also, while you're there, make sure you're subscribed to the Journey to the Draft podcast. We're breaking down the top prospects going into the 2021 college football season, getting ready for next year's NFL draft. It's never too early to start looking ahead to the draft. And if you follow this show, you know how strongly I feel about that topic. Now, that said, let's get into what we saw here for training camp today on Thursday. It's time now for Chalk Talk.
Let's get down to business. It's time for Chalk Talk.
All right, well, for our last practice of the week, we're going to go now to Chris McPherson and Ben Fennell. Guys, the Eagles back on the practice field on Thursday down at the NovaCare Complex. No pads on today, just helmets and shorts, but we got a chance to see them take the field. They have the day off on Friday, then a pair of padded practices Saturday and Sunday. Sunday is obviously the first live practice at Lincoln Financial Field. Make sure you get over there if you have not already. All it is, $10, all benefits towards the Eagles Autism Foundation. You can go watch this team practice live. That starts, I believe, 7 o'clock Eastern time, C-Mac. So you can go get your tickets still. Get there early, get down in the front row. Or if you're like me, you want to go sit up real high, you can get your eye in the sky from all the way up high and get a sense of exactly what the Eagles are doing offensively and defensively right now. But that being said, guys, we can't get to Sunday without talking about what happened today. And C-Mac, we'll go to you for some of the big updates here. From a depth chart standpoint, we had a transaction this morning as well.
Don't jump the gun with the depth chart stuff. All right, let me get to the transaction. So we did have one today. Shaquille Taylor, cornerback, was waived. Started camp with an injury, was a 2020 COVID opt-out. So he's not in the picture. The Eagles have 9 cornerbacks still on the roster. From an injury standpoint, he was one of the guys who made one of the better plays of Wednesday's practice, linebacker Jacoby Stevens. Talked about afterwards the coaching points that helped him earn the interception. Well, he's now week to week with a hamstring injury. So a tough development there for the late round pick. But from a positive standpoint at the linebacker position, Alex Singleton is in the ramp up period. So hopefully he'll come off the reserve COVID-19 list some point over the next couple of days. That's going to be big with Davion Taylor, right? Also week to week with a calf injury. One other in-practice injury, wide receiver John Hightower left early, went to the medical tent, came back and watched the end of practice on the field. But no, it's an undisclosed injury. No update from the team at this point in terms of what that is. So
it was very early too. I mean, it was before the wide receiver DB one-on-ones. I think it happened during that opening team period. So very early exit for John Hightower. Hopefully nothing too serious there. I was glad that you mentioned Jacoby Stevens. It was almost like, I had a list of players to talk about yesterday, and it's almost like I misread the list and we didn't discuss him after the interception that he had in the middle of the field on Wednesday's practice. But an outstanding play, climbing the ladder, making the interception in the middle of the field. But as you mentioned, he is out now. So we'll see. Hopefully he can make his way back in. We'd love to see him get some preseason action as he's making that transition to the linebacker position. Just from a pure depth chart standpoint, Honestly, guys, not a lot to report on. It was a Jordan Mailata day at left tackle. We talked yesterday about Andrew Adams getting some reps with the ones and the twos. We saw that again today. So outside of that, I mean, the usual shake-up at linebacker, lots of guys rotating in and out, all the different changes there. But outside of that, there weren't any really, really big changes that I saw. So I guess now we can just kind of get into our big takeaways. And Ben, I'll come to you first. Walking away from the practice field today, again, a little bit of a lighter practice. What was your big takeaway from the session?
Well, it was a spirited practice. I thought it was one of the better practice sessions, in my opinion, especially not having the pads on out there. But really, just taking in some of the aesthetics out there. I was really pleased to see how involved a guy like Brandon Brooks, who is unfortunately not healthy at the moment in practicing, but to see how involved he is despite not practicing, to see how attentive Devontae Smith is on the sideline, even though he's not practicing. I mean, Brandon Brooks, the offense team executed a play. He ran right up to talk with Lane Johnson. He's going through those mental reps, even though they may not be physical reps. He's right in the hip of Stoutland talking about looks. He is as involved as any player that is playing. And you just love to see that. And I don't want to then say, well, this guy doesn't do that and that guy doesn't do that. There's always the other side of that. But to see a caliber player like Brandon Brooks, is going to be a mainstay of the offensive line. It's disappointing not to see him out there. But his brain is still churning. He's taking those mental reps every play. Just pay attention to him when you see Big 79 on the sideline.
And it seems like between reps, too, he's always coaching up Matt Pryor. You see him working, Matt Pryor working with that first team unit at right guard.
Or like a Landon Dickerson, who seems to be asking a lot of questions. You see him after a play pointing and kind of, discussing what the looks are out there, just staying in the hip pocket of the young guys and the guys now taking his spot. Brandon Brooks, very involved despite not being out there.
I'm just going to bring up another young offensive lineman, Nate Herbig, who is getting the first team reps with the injuries there along the offensive line. And I did a story on him just before training camp that he had been working out with Lane Johnson and shed 20 to 30 pounds and was at his lowest weight since he was a sophomore in high school. But he said, bring up Brandon Brooks here, that it's that attention to detail is why Brooks is so good, because Nate Herbig will go out in a rep and say, oh, I thought I did a good job. And then he'll watch Brandon Brooks go through it and it'll be like, wow, that's what I need to do to get to that level. Another thing that Herbig talked about is working with the first team unit. And we talked about this with the guys like Zach McPherson, where we want to see these guys move up the depth chart and just get those opportunities with the different groups along the depth chart, that it's a different level when you get there, especially that you're seeing more of the ones versus the ones and twos versus twos this season, that you're working with the best, but you're also going against the best in practice. So you can really gauge your development and how far you've come.
No, it's a good point, certainly from him. And a lot of these guys that we're talking about were in much different places in terms of the depth chart and where they're seeing a year ago at this time. We've talked about this all the time. Like Jalen Hurts, a year ago, he was taking third team practice reps at quarterback, and now obviously getting the lion's share of reps with the first team. And so a lot of players in that place. And while we're talking about the offensive line, look, guys, we saw a lot of one-on-one drills today, a lot of really fun and spirited one-on-one drills. And I'll just start with the offensive line and defensive line, and we can kind of get thoughts. I don't know if you guys want to talk about some of the other one-on-one sessions we saw, but I thought the O-line really kind of got the best. When you look at the first team unit, I thought Matt Pryor had a really good rep early on. Jason Kelsey had a really good battle with Javon Hargrave. Nate Herbig had a really good rep. Jordan Mailata had a really good rep. Andre Dillard had one of his best reps in one-on-one over the course of the summer. So I thought today the starters along the offensive line had some really good reps. And then just two names that are kind of like under the radar that I thought have just really kind of stacked impressive days. Casey Tucker, I brought him up a couple times over the last week or so. He's really stacked some nice practices together. Patrick Johnson tried to get inside him, and Patrick Johnson, a really athletic rusher. He tried a late inside move, and Tucker just used that post hand, that inside hand, and just shut the door and then threw him down to the ground. On the next rep, Teron Jackson, the other rookie, he tried to just go straight bull rush on that inside half. And Tucker was able to block that as well and kind of just drop the anchor and showed that off. So to me, this is the best I've seen Casey Tucker look. I'm excited to continue watching him. And then T.Y. McGill, he's really impressive as well. Just can win in a lot of different ways. He's quick. He showed off some power today in the drill. So T.Y. McGill, Casey Tucker, a couple of under the radar linemen that stood out. But like I said, guys, there were a lot of really fun one-on-one drills. We saw the receivers and DBs down in the red zone. We saw running backs and linebackers running pass routes, the tight ends and safeties. It looked like we're working on the far side of the field, so we didn't get really a chance to watch too much of that. But it was fun getting a chance to see all these one-on-ones, Ben.
I don't know if you guys took a peek at the one-on-ones going on the other side with Darius Slay and Jalen Rieger. They faced each other 4 times today. In some of the most spirited one-on-one competitions I had seen in camp. They each kind of took their licks. They each got, won the down, should you say. And they each kind of took their lumps within the down, whether it's Rieger getting himself open and then dropping a pass, or maybe really tight coverage from Darius Slay, and then Rieger one-hands the catch. So I just felt like it was a really good session between 2 high-caliber receiver corner.
I mean, that catch by Rieger was, maybe the best individual play in camp yet.
No question there. One-handed, going up top over the Pro Bowl cornerback to make the grab. Going real quick back to the defensive alignments. And it'll be interesting because we know that Jonathan Gannon comes from the Mike Zimmer school. And Fran, you've broken this down over the years with Mike Zimmer and that double A-gap blitz. You wonder, are we going to get to see a little of that here in Philadelphia? He's been very creative, very multiple with the look so far in camp. It could be as simple as, look, I want to see the guys do it in practice to see if they can do it on the field. It could be Jeff Stoutland saying, I want my offensive linemen to get looks against it, to know how to protect it, because you're going to see it over the course of the season. Or it could be a test to see if our players can execute it. I'm going to have this in my arsenal at some point during the season. And at the very least, if we're talking about, then maybe other teams are going to say, we're going to have to prepare for it. And that's extra time they're spending in the film room to get ready for it. So very interesting to see what they do throughout camp here. But from the big takeaway for me here, and this goes to the one-on-one red zone wide receiver battle between Slay and Rieger, is mental toughness. Okay. Players are going to have their ups. They're going to have their downs. It's, can you show up on a consistent basis? Can you have short-term memory loss to say, no matter what happened the previous play, can I go out there and execute? And Jalen Rieger, okay, he was corrected by head coach Nick Sirianni and passing game coordinator Kevin Patullo during the middle of Wednesday's practice. And Sirianni was asked about it on Thursday and said, the toughest position is for any guy to have on the team is the one that the head coach played. Okay. We know that Nick Sirianni played wide receiver at Mount Union. He has extensive coaching experience at the position. So, he's passionate about that position and he's setting a high level expectations and wants to see perfection out of that group. Okay. So he's going to get on those guys a little bit more. So for Rieger to come out here and, we all know that what he's dealt with early on in camp, he had a friend who tragically passed away, and that weighed on his mind. And Rieger talked briefly about it with someone who was like a little brother to him. So he's dealing with that while trying to, get up to speed here in a new offense in his second year. It showed tremendous toughness by Rieger to go out there against one of the best cornerbacks in the league and put on a show, but also, like you said, Ben, have a couple, ups and downs throughout the day there. But I thought it was great mental toughness after what Rieger went through yesterday to come out here and to make some big plays, showing what he can do. We all know, we've seen glimpses of what Jalen Rieger is capable of. That's why he was a first-round pick by the Philadelphia Eagles. The question now is, can we see him deliver on a consistent basis?
Yeah, and there were a lot of headlines yesterday about some of the coaching he took on the field. Nick Sirianni talked about that in his press conference this morning, and just seeing him bounce back from that and make one of the best plays at camp. He was very active today in team periods as well. They got him the football in a lot of different ways. So I have really no doubts that Jalen Rieger is going to be a big part of this offense here moving into the
Fran, without
season.
Detailing obviously each of those creative ways, but any given rep of Rieger, it's like a compass right there. He could go north, south, east, west. There's no just like everything is being released up the field. On any given play, he could be going any different direction. It's a lot of fun to watch, and he's going to be one of these creative, versatile kind of chess pieces for the offense where you're never going to get into a rhythm of where he lines up or how he gets that ball.
Any other one-on-one reps that stood out to us, guys? I mean, there was a Steven Nelson pass breakup against Travis Fulgham that stands out to me. C-Mac, that happened right in front of you and me in the corner of the end zone. And by the way, that is not an easy feat because Travis Fulgham's been awesome in one-on-one. So Steven Nelson climbing the ladder and getting the ball on the ground. J.J. Arcega-Whiteside had a nice catch on a slant. Zach McPherson has had some pass breakups today. He had a couple down there in the end zone. So some good individual one-on-one reps.
A quiet battle we don't really talk about on a daily basis, but I'm starting to see, I think these guys are getting sick of each other. Is slot receiver Greg Ward against slot corner Avonte Maddox every single day. And these guys are so competitive. It's always tight coverage. It always takes a tough catch. And they just seem like they're getting sick of facing each other. It's kind of that iron sharpening iron. But this 8th practice, guys are getting annoyed. And something that defenses are being coached on, get that ball out. So what are they doing? They're clawing, they're scratching, they're punching. They're one of the team sessions. Elijah Holyfield just stopped and said, I'm sick of you guys punching me all the time. It's just that type of emphasis to getting the ball out from Jonathan Gannon's guys that's going to frustrate offensive players. Hopefully, we don't have to punch our own guys after a couple of weeks here and we get the ball out some opponents. But now that we're in the 8th practice, start paying attention to who's getting a little frustrated out there. We're starting to get some position battles, some roster battles, and some scheme and philosophy stuff like punching that ball out. Running backs are getting sick of it.
Well, it's funny because not only are they getting it from the defenders, but assistant head coach, running backs coach Jamal Singleton in the individual drills puts on a boxing glove and is out there trying to punch the ball out. So
Holyfield might not be the guy you want to take a punch back from.
I was just going to say that. Like, of all the guys to pest, I might go after, Kenny Gainwell or Jason Huntley or Boston Scott.
We'll tell Kenny that.
Well, no, I'll take one of the other guys. I'm not messing with Elijah Holyfield. That's just me personally.
Hey, he gets sweaty out there. Those biceps are glistening, and you see those muscles kind of bulging. I'm probably saying, all right, you got it.
Real quick though, going back to the battles that are getting feisty out there, and Ben, you mentioned the Greg Ward, Avonte Maddox. There was one bullet that Jalen Hurts fired that just barely. It was great coverage by Maddox, but the pass and I think was it Troy Vincent who said over the years that time after time again, no matter what, a great throw is always going to beat great coverage, and that was just the case here where Jalen Hurts just fired a laser into number 84's hands and did a great job of coming down with it in the back corner of the end zone, showing off that accuracy in the tight windows. And that's why it's been good seeing a lot of red zone work in this first week of training camp, because you get to see the new offense. You get Jalen Hurts working with these tight windows and what it's going to be like on a game day. Also, just from a coaching note, it was interesting that Coach Sirianni said that today was the last day of installation. So moving forward, it's going to be guys going through the offensive plays for the second time around. And I think Coach Sirianni is going to be very excited to see what do the guys like Jalen Hurts and Miles Sanders and the offensive linemen and all the way down, how do they do executing these plays for the second and the third time? Did they learn from the coaching mistakes from the first time? Is it going to be a little bit crisper out there? And it's going to be a good couple of days here between, the day off on Friday for the players. You get the field back on the field Saturday, and then the public practice. I mean, everyone's going to be scrutinizing what this offense does come Sunday evening. They're going to want to show out there. So it'll be very interesting to see how Hurts and company pick up their game.
I'm sitting way up top, Fran. I've been dying for some fresh all-22. I just want to see this practice from a high angle. I'm going way up there to the 300s and taking my own coaching tape view this Sunday.
All right, well, confirmed. I'll be down on the sideline then, just to make sure we're get away from you guys for a little bit. Any other? I mean, Ben, you were over by the running back linebackers as well. I know you had your eye over there. You were kind of splitting the difference there in terms of looking at the receiver DBs, which you were lucky, by the way. You were right in front of Slay and Rager as they were battling on the right
just
side.
Looking left and right, and kind of splitting the two fields there. Luckily, all those Rager Slay battles were on the near side of where I was, so I was able to just peek over my shoulder there. But some good receptions from guys you may not expect. Kerryon Johnson plucked a couple down the field receptions. Some there they arced in there really nice. Some where the quarter or the running back coach, whoever the assistant was, decided to fire it in there down the field as well, just past the head of the linebacker, where it wasn't an easy catch. He plucked them both. He looked really good out there. Jason Huntley made a couple nice catches as well. And maybe some bigger linebackers you might not expect to be sticky in coverage, like an Eric Wilson or a TJ Edwards. These guys are very, very savvy and very comfortable in coverage. Now, you may think, hey, they're 230, maybe 240. They're probably not that cover linebacker prototype. They're more than comfortable, and they do it with a little bit of physicality. They want to get their hands on you, but they're big, they're hulking, and most importantly, they're comfortable out there. They don't panic. So a couple good reps from some maybe unexpected guys out there in the running back linebacker one-on-ones.
Yeah, I knew you were over there. That's why, let's make sure we get that from Ben. You had mentioned that Carry-On had a good day over in that session. C-Mac, were there any takeaways from your end that you were, because there was, we had the one-on-ones early and there were a bunch of team sessions. The only thing that made it tough was that it was kind of tough to be able, like, they're in that middle field, so we're not working on the sideline. And very often they were going the opposite way. So the whole offense and defense is right in front of us. So we're all like dispersed out over the width of the entire practice field to be able to get a sense. But any takeaways from some of that team 11-on-11 action?
This is more of a big picture observation, but we are getting into the Groundhog Day, the dog days of camp, where you're hoping that, you're getting to the point where you want to see someone in another jersey. You're tired of seeing the same guy day in and day out. But I thought the defense just brings tremendous energy day in and day out. They were fired right off the jump after that wide receiver, defensive back, red zone one-on-ones. Avonte Maddox made a big play to kind of kick things off there in the next team session. And the defense was just all fired up from that. Brandon Graham has his contagious energy day in and day out. They just do a great job of making it a game, as close to a game-like atmosphere as possible, not making it easy for the offense whatsoever, and just really bringing the juice each and every day to practice. So it's more of a big picture takeaway from there, but the defense keeping it spicy out there on the practice field.
That Maddox forced fumble, and we couldn't, again, because it was a little bit tough to see. I couldn't tell if it was a screen or if like an outside run or whatever, but he was able to poke the ball out of Miles Sanders' hands, gets the ball on the ground. One of the defenders jumps on it. The whole defense goes nuts. And we've talked about it almost every day, that point of emphasis about get the ball out, get the ball out, get the ball out, ad nauseum. And for in a team period, to get that punch out by Maddox, everybody was juiced about that one. And then I think that energy continued throughout the rest of that session. I think another one too, a little bit later on, Ben, it was funny. We were watching this part of the team period separately. You were over on the left side. I was on the right side. But when we crossed paths, we both said the same thing to each other. I thought that was Joe Flacco's best sequence of plays. He had a couple of rifles, to the outstretching parts of the field, out towards the sideline, and then he ended it rolling right. It was kind of like a broken play, rolls to his right, and just fired a throw on a rope to Greg Ward down the field for a big play. And I thought that was Joe Flacco's maybe best sequence of plays so far this summer with the second unit.
I feel like that's what you want out of a backup quarterback, to kind of step in, execute the offense, get the ball out of your hands, delivered a nice throw to an outbreaking route to the left and an outbreaker to the right, and then took a page out of, more of the improvisational style, which he's been watching his whole career, whether he was splitting time with, I think, like Torrey Smith out in Baltimore way back when he won the Super Bowl. And, he's obviously watching Jalen Hurts and his ability to create out of structure, but he got flushed to the right and kind of looked back deep over the middle of the field, loft to one to Greg Ward. It was just three really nice plays. And then Nick Sirianni with a huge praise immediately after the play. I don't know if he was able to get up on Big Joe Flacco's shoulders, but it seemed like he kind of went to go give him a little belly to belly kind of props there. But, anytime that second unit comes in and just goes pluck, pluck, touchdown, that's what you want. You want those twos to come right in and just execute and run the offense. And I think, Joe Flacco can do that. And there's some learning from each other with Flacco and Hurts. Hurts can probably learn from Flacco and getting that ball out, playing a little bit more within structure, going through progressions. Flacco could probably take a page out of Hurts and just being a little bit more loose, with his pocket movement and breaking the pocket, keeping your eyes down the field when the play breaks down. So just great to see kind of different styles from Flacco and that second team putting up points.
Yeah, that throw was absolutely ridiculous. Speaking of Torrey Smith, he was on hand for practice today. So on the sidelines there. So bringing back vibes from the 2017 team. So great to see the former number 82 in action, watching practice from the sidelines today.
That's a good point. Well, guys, a bunch of really impressive plays. We talked about the Jalen Reagor one-handed grab. We talked about the Avonte Maddox forced fumble, the Greg Ward touchdown deep down the field from Joe Flacco. I'd say those are probably the three biggest plays that we saw today. So really good reps, though. Really spirited practice. Lots of one-on-one action. Again, the team off on Friday. We'll be back Saturday and Sunday with 2 padded practices. We will be here for both of those sessions right here on the Eagle Eye in the Sky podcast, fueled by Gatorade. Make sure you are still reading our practice recaps every single day. Myself, C-Mac, Ben, we're putting out our practice notes in written form over on PhiladelphiaEagles.com, the Eagles mobile app. I'm tweeting them out every single day. Make sure you go check those out as well, because some little tidbits here and there that we don't share here on the pod. C-Mac, Ben, you got the day off tomorrow. We'll talk to you guys on Saturday. If you're listening to this podcast, and I know you're a lot like me, you're really excited for football to be back. You're excited for Eagles football to be back. And if you live in the Philadelphia area, you do not want to miss your chance to come and see football live and in person. You can come see the Eagles practice this summer. Do not miss the 2021 Eagles live and in person at Training Camp Public Practices presented by Independence Blue Cross. They're right across the street from the NovaCare Complex, right over at Lincoln Financial Field. Tickets are on sale now for just $10. And all of those proceeds benefit Eagles Autism Challenge. So go online, get your tickets now at PhiladelphiaEagles.com/public practice and get your first look at the 2021 Philadelphia Eagles. Well, great stuff there from both Ben and C-Mac, who you can follow on Twitter, just like I do. And while you're at it, I'm at EaglesXOs. That's where I post all the podcasts I'm a part of and all of our X's and O's content that we produce here with Eagles Entertainment. You guys know how much I appreciate everybody that promotes this podcast on any form of social media. That's one way to support the show, but the best way, I said it earlier, is to go into Apple Podcasts or Stitcher, leave us a rating and leave us a comment. I wanted to give a shout out today to someone who did just that. Right of Spring 78 left a 5-star review saying, I believe this podcast is associated with the franchise, but it is not rah-rah fluff. Good and insightful analysis that is a good companion pod to others that are more personality driven. All right, a little bit of a backhanded compliment there. We try and bring a little bit of personality, but we definitely focus on the analysis. Right of Spring 78, thanks so much for the 5-star review. Thank you for listening to this show each and every day here during training camp. And again, if you're liking these daily podcasts, now's the time. Jump on Apple Podcasts, leave us a rating, leave us a comment. If you've got a question about this Eagles team or about the NFL in general, about the game of football in general, jump on, leave that question right in the comment box. We'll answer, because guess what? The queue's empty. That was our last question that we've got here for the start of training camp. So make sure you jump on, leave it in that comment box. Leave it with a 5-star rating. We'll make sure we get to it here on the very next episode of the show. Great stuff there from Right of Spring. Thank you to them. And thank you as well to everybody out there for your continued support of this show and all the rest of our podcasts here with Eagles Entertainment. That being said, I think that'll do it. Another show in the books here on the Eagle Eye in the Sky podcast, fueled by Gatorade. For everybody here at the NovaCare Complex, I'm Fran Duffy. We'll talk to you on Saturday.